We're having a heat wave, a tropical heat wave. Welcome to the 700 Club. Sizzling temperatures are frying the Northeast with extreme triple-digit heat indexes from Maine to Florida. In some locations, it will feel as hot as 110 degrees. Is there any relief in sight? We hope so. John Jessup has more.
Pat, temperatures are higher than normal for this time of the year. The heat index already topping 100 degrees in the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. It's hit cities like Philadelphia particularly hard.
Game plan today was to start out early so we could beat some of the heat, which we really didn't because it's still already hot already.
It's extremely hot.
It's definitely hotter than it usually is right now.
And that's nothing compared to tomorrow. Pat, down in your part of the country, it's expected to feel like 109 degrees. Later in the week, the Southwest is also going to feel extreme heat, with temperatures also reaching triple digits. Well, overnight, Israel struck Iranian-backed military positions in Syria, and inside Iran, mysterious fires and explosions are landing blows to its nuclear program. The regime is also fighting the rise of COVID-19. So why is the virus being called a pandemic of hope? CBN's George Thomas explains.
Whether it's the exploding coronavirus, mysterious fires at nuclear and military facilities, or protests, Iran's ruling Islamic clerics are facing unprecedented challenges as the regime tries to maintain an iron grip on the nation. On Monday, the government executed a man it convicted of spying for the CIA and Israeli intelligence. Mahmoud Mousavi Majid received that sentence for allegedly passing information to the CIA about the whereabouts of General Qassem Soleimani. The powerful leader was killed in a U.S. drone strike earlier this year.
This is a regime that's facing really a possible rebellion in the near future. Regime officials talk about it, and so they're executing a lot of people to put fear into the public.
The execution follows a string of mysterious fires and explosions around the country. On Sunday, fires broke out at a military installation near Tehran, a shipyard in Bushehr, and a key power plant connected to Iran's Natanz nuclear facility in Isfahan. Similar incidents have happened across Iran since June.
This cannot be a coincidence. This cannot be just a series of accidents without malicious intent from someone.
Some pointing to Israel's ongoing overt and at times covert war against the Islamic Republic.
Israel specifically is trying to stop the transfer of very advanced, precise munitions to the regime's proxies like Hezbollah, and also wants to slow down the Iranian nuclear program.
This as President Trump reportedly gives the CIA green light to launch more offensive cyber attacks to cripple or destroy some of Iran's critical infrastructures. All this against the backdrop of ongoing government protests and a remarkable revival that's witnessing thousands of Muslims turning to Christianity in the midst of COVID-19.
That's why we call this a pandemic of hope.
Mike Ansari runs Mohabbat TV, one of the most popular Christian satellite channels in Iran. The ministry reports it is recording 10 times more online salvations than this time last year.
We're registering around 3,000 professional decisions, personal decisions by Iranian Muslims to leave Islam for Christianity during this revival.
Ansari says that's 3,000 people each month who've decided to follow Jesus Christ since the pandemic began in March.
People in Iran are just not happy the way their economy is going, the way the government is robbing them of their natural resources and exporting Shiite Islam to the neighboring countries. So they just don't trust their government.
The large number of people leaving Islam is causing a backlash against the church. Dozens of Christians have also been arrested and imprisoned for responding to the gospel message since March.
During these critical times for the regime, there's a tendency historically for the regime to really crack down on religious communities like Christian Commerce, and we see that today.
Iran is one of the world's most dangerous places for Christians, yet Christianity is growing faster in Iran than in any other country in the world. George Thomas, CBN News.
Thanks, George. Pat, 3,000 Christian conversions a month. That's remarkable.
It's amazing, but listen, those people are hungry to know freedom. They have been under the control of this group of ayatollahs. It's an extreme Islamic dictatorship, a theocracy, and the people of Iran are sick of it. They are sick of the controls. They're sick of the Islamic terror that's been waged upon them. You know, during the Obama administration, there were demonstrations, but we did nothing about it. Right now, Mike Pompeo and along with President Trump, are saying, we're going to help you with cyber attack to support these people. They took out Soleimani, who was head of that Quds force, and he was just one of many. But those leaders understand the people hate them. They do not want it anymore, and we have to recognize the Iranian people are different from the leadership. So when we deal with Iran, we cannot hurt the people who are pro-America, pro-freedom, and are seeking better ways, and they want to be out of this extreme Islamic terrorism. But whatever we can do, we sooner or later, we need to not only send cyber attacks, but it looks like we need to surreptitiously get some arms to these people, because the role of the mullahs may be coming to an end in Iraq. In Iran, it is a wonderful thing, and they have been an area that is dangerous. They believe in this Mahdi, the Ayatollah, the Supreme Mahdi, and they also believe in a version of Islam that indicates there will be one final battle between good and evil, and the Mahdi will come at the end of a great disturbance and then bring peace. That's what they believe, and the thing is, we need to be aware of their deeply held beliefs of the leadership and do everything we can to undermine that, to let the freedom come forth in that country. But extreme Islam, according to them, indicates there's going to be a major catastrophe. So they didn't hesitate. He wouldn't hesitate to have an atomic war that kills millions of people as long as the Mahdi would triumph. We cannot allow that to happen. So keep in mind the religion of that people, of the leadership, and realize the people of Iran want freedom, and we'll do everything we can to encourage freedom. And that, in my opinion, not only cyber, but we need to be sending some kind of arms. If we knew the leadership and we could help them, perhaps surreptitiously, we could get something into their hands that would give them some power against that vicious, awful leadership that is running the country right now. John?
Pat, back here at home, President Trump says he plans to send more federal law enforcement officers into democratically run cities facing unrest. The move follows his deployment of agents to Portland earlier this month. The state's most populous city has experienced more than 7 weeks of protests and violence, but city and state officials say they don't want federal agents there, adding that they're making the problem worse. Conservative leaders say city officials are allowing the problems to get out of control.
How about Chicago? I read the numbers were many people killed over the weekend. We're looking at Chicago, too. We're looking at New York. Look at what's going on. All run by Democrats, all run by very liberal Democrats, all run really by radical left. But we can't let this happen to the cities. New York was up 348%, the crime wave.
The New York Daily News reports gun violence and murders have spiked across the country, even, Pat, as the number of arrests have plunged.
Well, de Blasio in New York, you cannot believe the statement that it's the most peaceful it's been, and they are having killings and riots. He wants to take $1 billion away from the police department and give it to some agency that his wife has been in charge of. It's just unbelievable in New York. But in Chicago, the police are actually asking the federal government to come in. In Portland, they're saying stay away, but at the same time, there's a violation of federal law, and federal agents can come in because there's a shared situation where the local law and the federal law overlap, and the federal law takes precedence. And so we need to get in there and do this stuff. But now we understand a lot of young people are involved. It's not just Antifa, it's not just Black Lives Matter, but it's also a group of kids, I mean, you know, whatever you call them, millennials, who they just are intent on destroying things. And there needs to be some penalty to those people. They need to understand they can't just be having a lark and tear stuff down without any consequence. We need to go after it big time. And I've been reading a book about Grant. He was facing the Ku Klux Klan in the South after the Civil War, and he sent a division of troops into that area to settle it, and they were very successful. But until that time, the Klan was just beating on people, they were killing people, and they were running amok. We cannot allow that to happen. Now, let's take a look now at Seattle, because there's a case there that John wants to talk about.
That's right, Pat. In Seattle, a mother is suing the city after her son was shot to death in the former so-called CHOP autonomous zone. Protesters took over the 6-block area for several weeks in June after police pulled out. Police eventually reclaimed the area, but according to CBN contributor Chuck Holton, who recently traveled to the region, there are signs that business owners still fear attacks.
So this is the former Chaz CHOP zone of downtown Seattle, and we're just walking around here kind of looking at the aftermath. And one of the things that I notice is that on just about every shop that is open, they have signs in the window that say something like Black Lives Matter, they support the gay agenda, all cops are bad, something along those lines. And it's almost like it's a desperate plea, please don't ransack my store. And I would say that probably the majority of the people who have shops in this area, live in this area, most likely agree with the leftist agenda, the socialist agenda of the protesters and the rioters. But even still, they feel the need to beg people not to destroy their store. And they do that by saying, we're one of you, and putting signs all over the place that say, we support your agenda.
That was CBN contributor Chuck Holton reporting from Seattle. The National Institutes of Health Director, Dr. Francis Collins, says we could have as many as not 1, not 2, but 3 vaccines by the end of the year. The latest good news, researchers at Oxford University say a vaccine in trials appears to be safe and effective. Not only does it activate antibodies that keep the virus from spreading, it also boosts white blood cells that fight it. The potential vaccine is in phase 3 trials now, and the government has already ordered 300 million doses.
We feel that there's urgency and pressure really every day. So people are working day and night, they're working weekends, and we're not going to stop till we get an answer.
At least 40 states are seeing increases in new cases, with more people being hospitalized in 39 states. In the hot zone of Houston, Texas, health officials say the number of people being admitted, Pat, appears to be slowing down, and that, of course, is good news.
Well, anything is good news, but it does seem that the number of cases, the Weather Channel is starting to report in our area where I live in. Here, we didn't think there was much danger, and now, lo and behold, there are several thousand cases springing up in Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Chesapeake. It does kill people, but those apparently who have the metabolic syndrome are the most vulnerable, those who are already overweight or out of shape or have some
underlying condition.
Yeah. But it's terrible. It's just deadly what's happening. And I'm all for this wearing masks. We've got to do what we can to prevent the spread of this terrible disease.